Crackers ain't gonna like this one. Video by EXO Speaks. Black people have a victim mentality? Let's see about that shit.
How long are we going to have this never-ending victim complex? At what point in time does it actually start becoming your fault for your own failures? Or are you going to sit there blaming some straight white man from the early...
Okay, then it's your fault if you get SA'd. Like, what are we talking about? Because we have to take after women's failures. Like, what are you really talking about, bro? You getting, for example, you getting SA'd is out of your control, same way black people getting enslaved and all that other shit was out of our control. This isn't like, she's just yapping.
1900s for the rest of your life.
My God, you spoke what needed to be said. You're speaking facts.
And bro, the ironic part about these like conservative white women who are defending conservative white men is they don't want good outcomes for you either because you're still a woman. It's like y'all don't get it, bro.
Amen, sister.
Y'all don't get it.
Only the white man can be called out, not the black folk. Can never call them out. Always the victims, never the aggressor.
Accountability equals kryptonite. Black people have a victim mentality. I keep seeing that same phrase pop up over and over again whenever I'm on social media. And every time I see that, it already tells me a lot about the person that's saying it. Not because criticism isn't allowed, but because the people that are using that phrase usually aren't trying to understand anything. They're just repeating something that they heard and like the sound of. It's just like the 1350 argument. But when you really listen to how people use that phrase, they never really explain what they mean by it. It's just, y'all are always playing the victim card. Just work harder. Y'all blame everything on racism. And it made me realize something. Most people that use that phrase don't know what accountability is, and they don't know what history is either. It's just something that they're tired of hearing
They
us
definitely
talk about.
don't know
When they
history,
say that
bro.
black people have a victim mentality, what they're really saying is, I don't want to hear you complain about systems anymore. They're not necessarily saying that the suffering we go through isn't real, even though some people will try to argue that point too. But what they are saying is that they're uncomfortable acknowledging it. It's uncomfortable for them to admit that some people start the race much further back. And it's especially uncomfortable for them to admit that some of the advantages that people enjoy were not earned. They were inherited. Because notice how that phrase gets used when we talk about things that are documented, like redlining, mass incarceration, police brutality,
all these
education
things, bro.
gaps. The list
All
goes
these
on
things.
and on. Nobody calls it a victim mentality when other races do it. When they do it, it's advocacy, it's awareness, it's fighting for your people. But when we do it, suddenly it's, oh, y'all are just making excuses. One of the many things that a lot of racist people don't understand is that acknowledging context is not the same as avoiding accountability. And a lot of times you'll notice they'll say that when it's convenient for them.
They're just becoming too much trouble.
Oh, not Nick Fuentes,
They bring
bro.
these problems.
Oh my God.
We can't solve them. We can't hold
Literally a gay Mexican conservative, bro.
them accountable. They blame us. They don't even like us. They blame the government. They blame history. They blame our ancestors.
Black people have always been held accountable. Historically,
And it's crazy how Nick Fuentes is leading the conservative movement, bro. He just doesn't fit the role. If anything, it should be somebody like Heavy Duty Country, right? He'd fit that traditional red pill masculine image that these incels have in their mind, right? I don't know if Heavy Duty Country's on steroids, but he's pretty much buffed out.
we've been held to a much higher standard. We've gotten more punishment, less grace, and much less room for error. So the idea that we're somehow allergic to accountability doesn't even line up with reality. Black people...
Bro, you know what kills me about the Trayvon Martin shit, bro? Trayvon Martin was literally unarmed, and George Zimmerman wasn't punished at all. But George Floyd, there was at least that quote unquote excuse of him overdosing on drugs or whatever, or just overdosing. Yet that guy was actually punished. The guy who killed George Floyd actually got years in prison. Meanwhile, Trayvon Martin was younger, and he literally was unarmed, and the guy got no time at all. That just feels opposite to me. I don't know.
People hold each other accountable all the time. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. Black people constantly call out bad behavior through social media, barbershop talks, podcasts, and within our own families and communities. There are black folks that dedicate their lives to stopping violence and crime within our community. And all it takes is one quick search on any social media platform, and you can find videos of black people condemning and calling other black people out for bad behavior.
Bro, and look at this. What the fuck? Bro, what? Bro.
Two things can be true at the same
Okay,
time.
I don't
We can
know
hold
what that shit was.
ourselves accountable, and we can also talk about the environment that we're
was weird.
operating in. But a lot of people want to act like history just stopped mattering at some random point. Like
Yeah.
we all woke up one day on equal ground, equal opportunity, equal resources, and equal treatment. That's not reality. And pointing that out does not make you lack accountability. That makes you honest. Because make no mistake, if they had it their way, they would completely erase all of our history and prevent us from ever speaking about it again. And
Yeah.
you know I'm telling the truth because we're seeing a lot of that now.
Reverend Brown
Yep.
is to have 2 artifacts he loaned to the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture returned in just a few days. The return of his items comes after President Trump issued an
Of
executive
course.
order in late March targeting the Smithsonian
course, man.
institution, saying in part,
Yeah, I
in
heard
recent
about
years
this shit,
it's come
bro.
under the influence of divisive race-centered ideology.
Another reason this
And
gets
Trump is trying to call Black history divisive, bro. Like, get out of here, man.
thrown at us is because people only see Black success stories. They'll see a few Black people that made it and say, see, if they can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah,
But what
this is
they're
like
ignoring
it's a hand-picked like handful of people, bro. You're picking Michael Jordan and you're picking Jay-Z, bro. They're billionaires.
is survivorship bias. They're focusing on exceptions while pretending the system didn't filter out thousands of other Black people along the way.
I learned today if it is a name that does not sound white, we are to move
Wow, that's
it
crazy.
to the completed tasks.
That's
With
crazy.
a note your application as moved due to name standards.
And when you think about
Name
it, that
standards?
argument doesn't even make sense. They
What?
love pointing to people like Michael B. Jordan, Denzel Washington, LeBron James.
Yeah.
Those positions
These are 1%ers.
represent a tiny fraction of people. We're talking about the top 1%. And it's not
Yeah.
even a Black thing. If you look at any other race, 99% of y'all are not in
Yeah, most white men aren't as rich as like Steve Jobs. Who's that guy that owns Amazon? Jeff Bezos.
those
man.
positions either. Realistically, everybody that's watching this video right now is not in that position, me included. So I genuinely do not understand how people use that as a real logical argument. It doesn't make any sense. And then there's the part that nobody likes to talk about. When we speak about injustice, it makes people question their own personal position. It forces them to ask whether the system that they benefit from is actually fair. And calling us victims is just a way to shut that conversation down before things get too
Well, Nick Fuentes specifically is just an idiot.
too uncomfortable for them. So the phrase victim mentality is not about our mindset. It's about protecting theirs. It's a defense mechanism, and it's a way for them to avoid accountability without actually having to say, I don't want to talk about this because it makes me uncomfortable. And that's why that phrase gets thrown around so loosely, because once you label somebody as having a victim mentality, then you don't have to deal with them anymore. Another thing that people don't understand is a lot of what they call victim mentality is really just survival awareness. And I already know what some of y'all are thinking. No, it's not the same survival awareness that y'all like to throw around to avoid coming in contact with Black people. Ours actually makes sense. Y'all
Yeah.
will say that y'all don't like
Straight
being
up.
around us because our neighborhoods are dangerous or ghetto. But you're complaining about a problem that your people created. You do know that your government created the ghetto. I don't know if
They ain't
y'all
ready
ready
for
for
that.
that conversation yet. But anyways, when you're
They ain't
aware
ready
of
for it.
patterns, you move differently. But people who have never had to think like that will always misinterpret awareness as negativity. This is usually where the conversation always goes. Well, if Black people just work harder, then we wouldn't have anything to talk about. But the funny thing is, we do work hard. We always have worked hard. In fact, the reason why we're here today is because of the hard work that we've had to put in. Now,
Yeah.
are there some Black people that are lazy as hell? Of course. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
but
that
same
that
with
doesn't
other
exist.
communities,
And you
so.
purposely being a lazy individual is not the system's fault. So I'm not saying that either. But majority of us are not like that. And based on factual data, the stereotype of us being lazy is just not true. Because if it was up to them, we wouldn't even exist. And when I
Yeah,
say that,
deadass.
I'm not being dramatic at all. There have been multiple attempts to completely erase our existence.
Yup,
But that's
that's
a
crazy.
conversation for another video.
Yep,
Stop
yep.
using race and gender as an excuse
That's
for why
crazy,
you're not
man.
successful. You're not successful because you're lazy, you don't have the right information, and you don't have the right strategy to be successful.
Stop blaming the system for you not changing. So as a clinical psychologist, I get to hear every excuse in the book for people not changing. And one of the most common ones that I hear is that the system is unjust. and that the forces of capitalism, racism, sexism, and systemic oppression are so great that it's not even worth trying.
I want to be very clear. I 100% believe in working hard and working smart. And a solution to this problem is not throwing your hands up and giving up. Because at the end of the day, there is still a lot that you can do to fight back against it. Of course, the system does have an effect on us, sometimes in ways that we can't even see. You gotta know how to play the game and how to win in life as a black man or a black woman. Is it gonna be more difficult for us than it would be for other races? Yes.
Honestly, I feel like with social media, YouTube, and streaming, like with Kai Cenat and iShowSpeed, I feel like it's gotten a lot better, bro. I feel like the internet's actually helping black people, hella of a ton.
But it is not impossible. Hard work was never the issue. The issue is how that hard work is recognized, rewarded, and blocked. You can be the hardest working person at your job, most qualified, the smartest, really the best overall employee. But if your boss already decided in his mind that you're not getting that raise because he's gonna slide it to Karen because he's sleeping with her on a low, then guess what? You're not getting that raise no matter how hard you work due to unfair circumstances that really have nothing to do with you at all. Your performance was great, but apparently hers was a little bit better. You can't.
Nah. Hey, yo, bro. You know what you were doing there, bro. Her performance in bed? What are you talking about?
Nothing to do with you at all. Your performance was great, but apparently hers was a little
You can see him kind of smiling.
better. You can't tell people to run the same race while pretending like the track hasn't been altered in some way. Another reason why this whole victim mentality argument falls apart is because a lot of black people are actually being harmed in real ways and they don't even realize it. And I'm not talking about feelings. I'm talking about decisions that get made around us, without us, that directly affect our health and our quality of life. For example, look how often dangerous infrastructure gets placed in predominantly black neighborhoods. Data centers, industrial facilities, waste-related sites, things that most people would never want near their homes or around their neighborhoods ever. But somehow it's always getting placed in their black communities. And when people hear data centers,
bro, how is environmental racism a thing, bro? This is so cooked. The world is cooked.
They think tech jobs or they think progress. But what they don't think about is the constant noise, massive energy use, water strain, and long-term environmental impact on the people that live nearby. And it's the same thing with certain transportation hubs. There have been Amtrak stations and rail corridors that have been known to give off harmful emissions and toxic chemicals in the air. And nothing's done about it. And yet again, these things are not being built in wealthy or predominantly white neighborhoods. They're being placed in areas where resistance is expected to be low and people's voices are easier to ignore. And that is...
Bro, we need like a new Tupac, bro. Can Tupac just like resurrect and come back or something, bro? We need Tupac.
Not accidental. But because a lot of this stuff doesn't always show up immediately, a lot of us don't connect the dots right away. But how could you? We just see higher asthma rates, more health problems.
Because, bro, Kendrick Lamar ain't enough, bro. Kendrick, what he writes is good, but Kendrick isn't actually like doing anything in real life. Like, I get it. He has pro-black raps, but like we need Tupac, bro. Tupac was doing shit in real life. He might have became like a politician and shit, bro. We need Tupac.
And lower property values. And nobody ever explains why. Why do you think black people experience the most health problems out of every other race? So when we talk about systems, this is what we mean. Real decisions that impact real people every single day. And if you don't even know that you're being affected, then you can't even push back against it. And that's exactly how this stuff keeps happening quietly, with no headlines and with no outrage. And a great example of this is Periodigo.
In the 1950s and 60s, in secret, the U.S. Army sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide into the air of a St.
Oh, I heard about some shit like this, bro. This is fucked up, bro. This is actually
a largely black neighborhood called Pruitt.
And I'm gonna guess nothing happened, right?
It
was a lose-lose situation for us in Pruitt. We were subjects. We were subjects.
This is giving off Tuskegee Airmen vibes, bro. What the fuck?
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
Lost my two older siblings to cancer. I lost a brother last month.
I've been diagnosed recently with a rare form of lymphoma. I had cancer of the left kidney, had partial.
Bro, black people are way too fucking nice, bro. Like, we as a community, as a people, we are way too nice, bro. You're telling me people lost family members due to this shit. You're telling me this nigga has cancer. We're too nice, bro. We're too fucking nice, bro. That's the issue. That's the issue. That's the one issue with black people. We are too nice. I'm not trying to victim blame, but we're too fucking nice, bro. So you lost a family member and this guy has cancer, bro. Hey, man.
Removal of my left kidney.
So no, a lot of
That's
the times
fucked
we're
up,
not
bro.
playing victim. We're living
And I'm guessing there's no way to sue the government. There's nothing can actually be done. Nothing's gonna be done, bro.
in conditions that were set up long before we had any say in them. If you can successfully convince black people that talking about systems makes them weak, that's when they stop talking about systems. If you can convince everyone else that we're just playing victim, then nobody has to take our concerns seriously. So do black people
Just give African Americans reparations, man. This is it's so cooked.
have
man.
a victim mentality?
shit's
Absolutely
cooked.
not. We have historical memory, pattern recognition, and lived experience. And calling that a victim mentality is just a way to avoid dealing with the uncomfortable.
I still don't get how the CIA like got away with all this shit, bro. Or just the government. I don't know. It's probably the CIA, man, low key. But they sprayed zinc sulfate in the fucking air and gave people cancer, and they literally tested it on black people like we were lab rats, bro. What the
Truth. We
fuck?
gotta wake up before it's too late.
Bro, this shit's so cooked, man.